Assalamu alaikum students, this is your course instructor Rao Aisha Sadiq from Department of English, University of Southern Punjab, Multan. Student, in today's lecture, we will be exploring the thematic richness of Mohsin Hamid's highly acclaimed novel, How to Get Filthy Rich in Rising Asia. A work that has as much about the struggles of individual as it is about the transformations of society in the global south, particularly in the post-colonial Asia, where rapid modernization, economic disparity, and cultural upheavals shape the lives of millions. Written in the style of a self-help book, yet functioning as a satirical building room in the novel allows us to reflect on multiple overlapping themes, the first and the most prominent of which is the theme of ambition and aspiration, where the protagonist addressed as you become the embodiment of countless rural migrants who leave behind the crushing poverty of villages and move to cities with the singular goal of improving their lives. Student, his rise from the sickly child to a wealthy entrepreneur in the water business is not just the story of one man, but rather a parable of upward mobility in the developing world. Though Mohsin Hamid reminds us that such mobility is fraught with compromise, corruption, and sacrifice. Closely linked to this is the theme of capitalism and corruption, as the novel repeatedly exposes how economic success in rising Asia often requires one to exploit loopholes, bend rules, and engage with systems of power that are themselves deeply corrupt. The protagonist benefits from bribery, political protection, and unfair practices, revealing how capitalism in the global south is less but free competition and more about who can manipulate unstable institutions. And in this way, Hamid critiques neoliberal globalization, showing its uneven consequences. Alongside this, the theme of love and intimacy runs as an undercurrent throughout the novel, and it is expertise of Mohsin Hamid, who does this in his other novels too. It expressed through the recurring figure of the pretty girl, the protagonist's beloved, his long life love interest, whose ambition and independence mirror his own, but who consistently chooses self-determination over domesticity. Their on and off encounters reveal both the fragility of relationship and an urbanized competitive environment and the persistence of desires as a humanizing force, even when personal ambitions take precedence over emotional bonds. So student, the theme of migration and urbanization is also crucial, as the novel portrays the movement from rural poverty to urban opportunity as a defining feature of modern Asia, showing cities as both the spaces of possibility and the spaces of alienation, where rural migrants can reinvent themselves, yet also they risk losing their identities. Connected with this is the theme of poverty and inequality. For while the protagonist and the pretty girl rise to success that is depicted in the text, millions of others remain trapped in cycles. You may say that the cycles of deprivation, disease, and the lack of education, reminding us that wealth in rising Asia is not equally distributed, but rather a privilege for those willing to navigate its moral ambiguities. Students, the novel also addresses the theme of mortality and impermanence, since despite the protagonist's immense wealth, he cannot escape illness, aging, and the inevitability of death. A reminder that no matter how filthy rich one becomes, human life is finite and ambition cannot conquer time. At the same time, Student, the theme of gender and patriarchy emerges through the prodigal story, where her beauty initially offers her a route out of poverty, but it is her agency, business acumen, and resilience that allows her to establish independence in a male-dominating society, thus making her character an important commentary on shifting gender dynamics in urban Asia and even in the Anglophone Pakistani literature. Furthermore, Hamid explores the theme of anonymity and universality of keeping all characters nameless, as the characters in the text are nameless. You, the pretty girl, your father, your wife, a stylistic choice that stripes away individuality to highlight their symbolic roles, making the story not about their particular persons but about millions whose lives follow similar trajectories. This technique allows the novel to function as both personal narrative and a social allegory, blurring the lines between individual and collective experience. Another central theme is globalization and modernity, where the novel situates itself in a world rapidly shaped by technology, media, consumerism, and the aspiration of an expanding middle class, showing how these forces both liberate and constrain individuals in post-colonial societies. Finally, the theme of disillusionment permeates the text. For while the protagonist achieves wealth, he also experiences loneliness, alienation, broken relationship, and eventual decline, suggesting that the dream of getting filthy rich is ultimately hollow, of it comes at the cost of human connection, love, and integrity. Taken together, these themes paint a complex picture of a rising Asia as a space of contradiction, of opportunities and inequality, of ambition and exploitation, of modernity and tradition, of intimacy and isolation. And Hamid's novel encourages us to reflect critically on what development and success truly mean in the 21st century. When we examine the structure of Mohsin Hamid's How to Get Filthy Rich in Rising Asia, it immediately strikes us as unconventional and experimental, defying the traditional novelistic format and instead borrowing heavily from the self-help genre while simultaneously parodying and subverting it. The entire book is presented as a kind of mock self-help manual written in the second person, and this narrative strategies provides both intimacy and universality. Intimacy because it addresses the reader directly, creating the illusion that you is a personal addressee. The anonymity and generalization transform the story into a collective tale of countless individuals in the post-colonial world, rapidly modernizing Asia. Structurally, the novel is divided into 12 chapters, as we have discussed in the previous lecture, each corresponding to a supposed rule of step in the imagined self-help manual. These chapter titles such as Move to the City, Get an Education, Focus on Fundamentals, Work for Yourself, Don't Fall in Love, and Have an Exit Strategy mimic the formulaic imperatives of guidebooks that promise a linear pathway to success. However, student, Hamid cleverly destabilizes the neatness by ensuring that each step is undercut by chaos, corruption, and the unpredictability of the life, reflecting the instability of social context. The structure is therefore ironic. While the framework suggests a practical manual for getting rich, the content reveals the futility, fragility, and even destructiveness of such a single-minded pursuit. Another striking aspect of the novel structure, student, is the use of the second-person narration, a rare and powerful techniques that blurs the line between protagonist and the readers. By addressing the reader as you, the novel transforms into both an intimate confession and an accusatory mirror, forcing the audience to reflect on their own desires for wealth, their ambition, and escape from poverty. So this narrative mode is sustained throughout, giving the novel its distinct texture and aligning it with postmodern narrative strategies that collapse the distance between fiction and reality. It blurs the boundary between the two. The structural decision to keep all characters nameless, the protagonist, the pretty girl, the wife, the son, the rival businessman, contributes to the novel allegorical equality. Their anonymity is not but a weakness, but a deliberate technique to shift focus from individuality to archetype. These character students, they represent patterns of life in the urbanizing landscape of South Asia rather than unique personal stories. Thus, structurally, the novel is more parable than biography, more allegory than realism. Equally important is the temporal dimension or the structure of the narrative. Unlike a typical self-help book which exists in an eternal present tense of advice giving, Hamid's novel traces the protagonist's entire life course from his childhood as a sickly boy in a poor rural household to his death as an old man who, despite riches, finds himself alone and vulnerable. This biographical arc spanning decades offers a structural progression that mirrors the rise and the fall cycle common to both human life and capitalist ambition. Each chapter contributes a stage in this cycle: youth, migration, education, ambition, rise, moral, compromise, decline, and death. That temporal dimension, the temporal structure underscore, it highlights the mortality and the impermanence of wealth, reminding us that the self-help promises of eternal prosperity are ultimate illusion. Student, furthermore, Hamid employs a minimalist yet cyclic structure in his prose. The protagonist's story frequently intersect with the practical, and their intermittent meetings punctuate the narrative like recurring motifs, giving the novel a rhythm of longing and incompletion. The structure here emphasizes chance, fate, and the inability of human beings to completely control the course of their lives, no matter how many steps they follow. The novel's ending is particularly structured in its irony. The final chapter, rather than offering a triumphant conclusion to the manual, it culminates in an old age, illness, and death, deconstructing the very fantasy that the title sets up. By closing with mortality, Hamid structurally dismantles the illusion of self-help genre, reminding the reader that no amount of wealth or ambition can save one from the universal human fate. So, the novel structure also reflects post-colonial and global realities. Students, on one level, the linearity of the 12-step guide reflects the Western capitalist logic of progress, efficiency, and individual achievement. On the other level, the narrative repeatedly shows how the structure is disrupted by systemic corruption, social inequality, political instability, and the arbitrariness of chance. All realities of a rising Asia still grappling with the legacy of colonialism and the uneven forces of globalization. The structure is therefore dialogic. It adopts a Western narrative form but reworks it to expose the limitation of applying such structures to non-Western realities. In some students, the structure of How to Get Filthy Rich in Rising Asia, an intricate combination of parody, allegory, biography, and style. It mimics the logical step-by-step structure of a self-help manual but subverts it by revealing life's inherent disorder. It adopts the intimacy of second-person narration but universalizes into capture collective realities. It traces the full life arc to reveal the futility of wealth in the face of mortality, and it denies characters' names in order to emphasize archetypes over individual. Through this structure, Hamid not only tells the story but also critiques the very forms and system through which we narrate success, ambition, and development in a post-colonial globalized world. So, student, this is all about our today's lecture. In the coming lecture, we will apply some theoretical perspective and dimensions to the textual study of this novel. Till then, stay blessed. Allah Hafiz.